Testing, testing, are we up? We may be up and running, but I don't know for how long. Let's try this. Go again. Good morning, good morning. Here we are, Thursday morning. Nobody there, good. It's going to be a bit of a crazy day, I think. Struggling with the router settings again. Our wonderful, fabulous internet service actually is wonderful, but something's gone wrong with our router for the past month or so, and we cannot figure out what it is. So I'm on a pocket Wi-Fi this morning instead of the normal router. And this may work, this may keep going, or this may crap out of me, who knows. Looks like not many people are here anyway, so it's probably okay. Okay, a bit of fixing this morning first before the normal carving. The girls are doing test printing on the second print in this year's series, of course. The one with the red airplane, kayak in the cove. And they've been doing some testing, and I've got some trimming to do on some of the blocks here. It looks very quiet today. Good, good, good. That's the way we want it today. Let's see, I need to trim a couple of places here. The two that did their test printing yesterday, Dei-chan and Ishikawa-san, and they've marked a bunch of the blocks and places where there need to be some adjustments. I don't know if you can see it. Let's try and zoom in a little bit here. Just click here. Might be difficult to see, but some of the printing, the test printing, I cut some of them a bit wide where I wasn't sure exactly where the cutting should be. So whenever you're not sure, you cut it a bit wide, and it's easier to trim it back than it is to add some more. So this block, so it's gone a bit too wide. And what's next? The blue block. It's a bit confusing. There's a bunch of different blue blocks here. There's 3 blue tones. And one of these has come a bit wide. I'm not quite sure which one it is. They've left me 2 of them. It could be this one. It could be this one. I think it's this one I'm talking about. Paper out, sound gain is low. Yes, sound is, I don't know, where are we here? I've got the audio out at max, actually. Testing 1, 2, 3. Cones, yeah, I haven't touched them again. Looks like they're almost lined up today. Not quite. So what's going to be going on today, Thursday morning? I got to do this fixing job first, just to adjust 2 or 3 of these blocks, and then I'll be getting the cats out, the mountain cats, and continuing with that. Yesterday was a bit of a strange day for us in the shop. I know it was a really, really rainy, freezy, chilly day, and as it happened, when I got up in the morning, I saw that there were no print party reservations for 10 o'clock, 1 o'clock, or 2:30. We had a late afternoon print party at 4 already booked. So I made a quick executive decision here, and I shut off the reservations for the day, so nobody could come in and do a print party. And when the staff got here, I called all hands on deck, and we did our yearly stock taking, the yearly inventory. It was a perfect chance. Nobody came in during the day to bother us. We had no parties booked. And we got not everything counted, but we got most of the stuff in the shop counted. It's first floor and second floor. And this is good, because this is a job that's been hanging over our heads for months. As part of our recent incorporation, it's a legal requirement to get, an accounting requirement to get an inventory taken. Okay, that's 2. Where's the third one? They want something trimmed at the top here. Oh yeah, it's coming out. Oh, I'm not so sure how to do that. Let's see. It's not coming out, but they think it's threatening to come out. So okay, fair enough. It's funny, so we did our inventory. We did the stock taking yesterday, and we used a bunch of, pretty much every computer in the building. iPads, walking over. I had written some simple data entry forms for this that categorized the stuff into different categories. And what we did was, before we started, the software I wrote was set up so that they get a page of photographs of the shop here. Cameron had walked around the building and taken a photograph of every zone that we needed to count. So when they opened their software, they were faced with a bunch of photographs. So they chose a photograph, tapped on it, and then used the barcode reader to read all the inventory that was in that photograph zone, save it up, and then move on to the next zone. So. Okay, I think that should keep them happy this morning. Okay. Back to normal work. We resume normal program. So actually something a bit different this morning. I know, I've been postponing this for days and days and days. I've been postponing this for weeks. Before we do that, John, my knife, the blade has come to the end of its life, absolutely. It's way too short. That's the physical end of the steel here. Let's get this out and have a look. So we're pretty much at the physical end of the tempered part of the steel. I've just been letting it go shorter and shorter and shorter, and I got in trouble yesterday. We finished that print party last night at about 5 o'clock or so, and some of the people were really interested in watching the carving, so I came out here to the carving bench and said, okay, let's do a bit of carving. And I couldn't. I tried to carve and the knife just wouldn't stay in the holder anymore, and they're like looking at me, what's going on? So let's replace it. Let's replace it. When I was a real carver, carving all the time, day after day, this was kind of like every couple of months, this would be the job to do. And now for me, it's literally every few years. It's really embarrassing. One more left in this stash. I got lots more on me. So there's the old one. It seems a bit silly, there's a new one. And this is beginning of life. And that's the end of life. And we're only going to use half of it. Why not use the whole thing? Well, it's just not the way the steel works. When they're making the things, they're gripping it in a pinch or whatever, gripping it and hammering and pounding and tempering it. So the bottom part of the blade here, this whole bottom section, is not usable at all. It's not properly tempered. It's the part that was held while they were tempering the main, hammering together the two layers. I could have got maybe a little bit farther, but as I said, it becomes too physically difficult to hold in your handle when you get to this one. So there's more than one factor. Now the other thing is my handle is really, really worn out over the years. And after changing so many times, this slot is now become too wide. So what we would normally like to just put your blade in the slot, close the thing at the top, but I can't do that because the slot has become way too wide. So I'm going to have to run over to the other table and get a piece of tape and hack this together. Excuse me a second. That should do it nicely. Look at that. Nice and snug. How do we get rid of this tape? If only I had a knife. Okay, nice and snug in there now. The ring, which I also should replace at some point. The rings, of course, get spoiled as you sharpen. They go bevel, bevel, bevel. And I think we're going to be good to go. We need a sharpener, of course. The edge that's on it right now is not a sharpened edge. It's just a shape. The people who make the blades put it at a standard generic shape. It's close. It's not sharp at all. So let's get the stone out and get going. New blade, how long is it going to be? Will this be my last one? How many more do I have left in my life? Who knows? And here's the blade now, and we talked about this before, I don't throw them away. I've got a drawer in Ome with all the old blades, one by one in there. And part of it is just a stupid guy doesn't want to just casually toss stuff out that he's used for so many years. You sort of feel a bit of a friendship to them, whatever, a bit silly. But behind that, there is actually a thought. There's a bit of potential tiny research value for this. In that I've been doing this for 30 odd years, and I've got all the little 30 odd years worth of scrap blades sitting in there. And it's possible, if I had taken the trouble to label them, that then you would have a 30-year chance of getting some data of what kind of steel was in these knives for the past 30 years. But it's whatever. A minimal interest to anybody. So there she goes. She goes in my box for now, and it'll go to Ome later. Let's get sharpening. Every time I see somebody use that expression, duct tape, I'm really not sure if you're serious or if you're taking a mickey or if you don't understand what the word actually means. I'm curious about that. For what it's worth, the tape here on my desk is what's known in Japanese as nuno tape, cloth tape. That's, as opposed to we used to have the strips of brown paper, right? It was like a craft paper tape with sticky stuff on it. But the kind that's most common here in Japan now, it's called nuno tape. And it's got like a, cloth type weave inside it. Cloth tape is the generic name for it here. Nothing to do with ducts and heating, of course, just simply tape. Nuno tape. Okay, we'll see. We'll give it a go. Now, those of you who have seen this part of the process before, you know what's probably going to happen today. This thing may break quite a bit over the next few days, weeks. Because the edge part of the blade can never get, when the guy is hammering it on his anvil and stuff to get the tempering done, it seems it's either difficult or too troublesome or whatever for them to get the temper at the end of the blade quite right. And I would have thought they would have made it too long, temper it, and then cut off the bad part at the end, maybe. maybe that's what they do, but when they're cutting it off, their hacksaw gets too hot or their grindstone gets too hot. And always the steel at the very tip of these blades is always troublesome. It's not tempered well, it tends to break easily. Whether it's because of a little bit of careless craftsmanship or something that simply can't be helped as part of the blade processing, I don't know. But we've talked about it before. The very first few millimeters of the blade are really usually quite bad. And the last few millimeters of the blade, just before it gets to the handle part, are really, really quite nice. So we'll see. Be prepared for a bunch of chips, pops, and cracks over the next few days as we break in this new blade. Or not. And I've got a New Year's resolution. I am never, ever going to talk about water on these stones again, ever. Then, while we're here with the new blade, there's something else to mention. This is something that I didn't know by myself. You know, I mention all the time, training by myself. I'm proud of the fact that I was self-taught for this. But as we know from watching those videos, I did have a couple of sessions with Ito Susuma-san, one of the old carvers. He showed me a few things about sharpening, and he showed me some stuff about hair carving. And one tip he gave me is something I never would have figured out by myself, probably, was when you get a new blade, and partway through when you're using your blade, you have to bend it. And this blade now is a perfectly straight, flat blade. And you could use it. We've sharpened the bevel on it now, and in a moment I'm going to put it onto the stone at the back to make sure the back is flat. But before doing that, he showed me something, and this is a bit careful. I'm going to put it on the table here, not the tip. I'm putting pressure on the table here at this part of the blade, and I'm going to bend it. In fact, I'm going to do it at the edge of the table here. Make sure I don't put pressure on the tip. Here we go. I'm putting pressure about 1 centimeter back from the tip of the blade, and I'm going to bend this thing. And when I look down the blade, like the guy looking down his sword, I can now see this blade is ever so slightly, and I mean ever so slightly, bent towards, which way are we talking about here? It's bent this way. The back is no longer flat. The back, looked at it this way, is now slightly concave. Why are we doing this? And let's see if I can get this camera close enough to show you what's going on. If we zoom in on the back of this blade, maybe you can see it from right there. If we zoom in at the back of this blade, look what's happening up at the tip. I already took a few strokes on the back, and it started to sharpen this part and this part, but it didn't sharpen along the edge. Can you see it? Those two white lines looks like tracks from a skier. So the back of this blade, the tip part is not touching the stone when I put it on the stone. The two rails are, but not in the middle because it's hollow ground. It's ground in a hollow shape. And if I just left it like this, that tip edge hasn't been sharpened. But by slightly bending it just now, I put the whole thing in a concave shape this way. Now when I put it onto the stone, that tip is now, because of the shape, that tip is now touching the surface of the stone. But when I say the tip, I mean the edge, the front edge, the cutting edge. If we now put this back under the light, look where we are now. You can see the shiny part. That's the part that was just flattened on that stone. So now the edge part too has all been beveled on one side, and then on the back side it has been flattened on the stone. So the edge now has a perfect sharpness. And as I go over the next few weeks and months, as this gets pulled out bit by bit by bit by bit, and I did this with the old one bit by bit, not every time I pull it out, but every once in a while I realize that it's got flat again, and I have to put it on the bench and just put a fraction of a tiny curve on it, enough to do that hollow ground on the back. And you can see the hollow ground. The backs of all these chisels, same as any Japanese woodworking chisels, the backs are all hollow ground. I think we are good to go on this stone. Why are chisels hollow ground? I don't know. With the blades that I'm using, because we never touch the back surface of the blade to the work, it's only the edge we're concerned with. The purpose of having a hollow grind on the back for us is to make sure the edge is sharp. For a cabinet maker, like a Western cabinet maker with his chisels, cutting mortises, cutting tenons, stuff like this, he needs the back to be, ideally it would simply be perfectly flat. But you can't do that. When you're sharpening, you roll it just a little bit, and if it wasn't hollow ground, it would end up with a bit of a bulge on the back. Then when you're the guy cutting the mortise or something to put a tenon in, it wouldn't be flat. But cutting all your chisels with a slight hollow ground means you can get the back of those chisels flat against the work. And I had no idea about this. I worked for years and years and years before I met Ito-san and before I saw him do that. And maybe, perhaps, I don't even remember actually, it's in those videotapes. Maybe he didn't specifically explain it. Maybe he just started to do this, and I'm thinking, hey, wait, what was that? What was that? What did you do? And maybe at that point he explained it to me, I don't know. Maybe he didn't explain it, I just saw him do it, went home and thought, oh, ha, ha, look at that. I don't remember the exact flow of the conversation that day, of course, it's so long ago. Back in the early 1990s, man. It must be on those videotapes, though. Oops, I lost the camera. Sorry about that. You're saying 1 degree bend. I have no idea about the number. It's just a very, very slight, extremely slight bend. Just enough so that when the blade is flat on the back of the stone, it's the tip that's touching. The tip can't be up in the air at this point. The tip, when I say the tip, I mean the front edge has to be touching the stone. And then, as you know, the last step of it even still ends. I pick up the blade now and I take the bevel off that edge. Okay. I think we have our first sharpening on this brand new blade. We'll probably break it within minutes. We'll see, who knows. All right, let's get this organized. Where are we? Start about here. Get the camera back in place. There we go. When I bent the blade, which side was facing down? The bottom. When I bent it on the table, it's the ground side, the hollowed ground. The flat side of the blade is facing up. And the bend we want this way. You see the hollow ground, show? And that's only possible because this thing now is this kind of a shape. And I'm exaggerating. It's just very, very slight. But there you can see it. Now, I didn't create the hollow grind on this part of the blade. They did that when they were making it. But they can't control the grind along the length of it. That's what I have to do myself. You're talking about what? Japanese woodblock carving is becoming popular all over the world. It is for a number of reasons. Places like college art departments and stuff, in recent years, they have had real trouble with things like toxicity and environmental concerns and insurance claims and stuff like this. And a fair amount of Western printmaking uses a lot of oil pigments, solvents, cleaners, stuff like that, huge presses, whatever. And it can be expensive, and it can be toxic, and it can be difficult, like they have insurance companies that don't want that stuff in the buildings. And the Japanese stuff is about as non-toxic and as safe and as easy on the environment as you could possibly be. So this is one reason why it's been re-picked up all over the place. Not to mention that it's cool and beautiful and makes nice prints. But there's a real practical thing involved here. Cleanup is easy, no solvents, nothing toxic. And the benefits at the other end of it, they go really, really, in my mind the other day, I read a story about the young Greta, the young Swedish girl who's involved in the climate change stuff, with her quite aggressive approach to attacking old white politicians and stuff like this, old white guys. And there was the imaginary situation that suppose she was walking through a Saksa and she came in here and she said, stop hurting the climate, stop hurting us, fix up your act, get with the program or whatever, completely imaginary, And I was thinking, okay, how would I talk to her? And I think I would be able to speak to her pretty sensibly about what we're doing here. Our efforts here at Neko Hakkei, we're not 100% environmentally perfect. Of course not. I have an electric light shining on my bench. I'm using the internet to talk to you guys. We ship our products all over the world. They go on airplanes. Don't use airplanes, whatever. So there are, of course, environmental costs to the products that we here at Neko Hakkei produce. But I think there are many, many more things to be counted into the equation. And some of them right here, of course, our girls work upstairs in the workshop here. We do this work by hand. We're not running banks of machinery here. Nearly all of our work is done with human energy. There's very, very few machines involved in what we do here, the carving and the printing. The products that we do send around the world on those airplanes are extremely light. When you think about the value of the thing or the cost of the thing, or what benefit it brings to society in terms of its physical weight then, that it took to ship it around the world, I think we're looking pretty good because our product is very light. We do use sheets of plastic, single-use plastic, to send them out into the world. I can't see a way to get around that at the moment. The package comes to your house in the mail, and if it gets exposed to the rain, and if there's no plastic wrapping inside, then we're in big trouble. We've destroyed the product. So that's another downside. We do use a very thin sheet of single-use plastic wrapping. So we're not perfect, but I think we're low impact. But on top of all this stuff, the last kicker is how long is this product going to survive? All the energy and cost that it took to make it, ship it around the world, has to be balanced against how long that product is going to be useful to the consumers. Your iPhone, we've talked about this, your iPhone is going to give you a few years at an extremely high environmental cost. My woodblock prints are going to give you 200 years at an extremely low environmental cost. So I may be just shrugging my shoulders too much in this, but I don't think it's a problem for our business. I think we're as pretty close to being environmentally perfect as it is possible to be in our current society. So my conscience is clear, and the young lady in our imaginary conversation may still not accept it. I won't accept anything except 100%, make your product completely, perfectly sustainable, blah, blah, blah. Well, I guess, whatever, you can think about it. If there's some way to replace that little light plastic wrapping, okay. I don't see any way to get around the problem of me making it here in Japan and the consumer being in Finland or wherever. That's the way our global economy works. But my conscience on this stuff is about as clear as it can possibly be. Because that's the kicker, the product lasts 200 years. Well, I suppose I can imagine her response, It doesn't matter if it lasts 200 years if we don't last that long. So something like this, whatever. If she was a good debater, she'd be able to come back against me with it. So far so good on the blade. It seems okay. I have sharpened it, at not such a supreme, delicate angle here. I pretty much followed the generic angle that the guy gave it when he produced it. At this point, sharpening it too delicately, it's just a recipe for disaster. So we'll stay with the generic angle here. I meant to check you. How's our Wi-Fi holding up? We're on the pocket Wi-Fi, instead of the main. I'm getting a few drop frames here. You said, we've been screwing the planet for the last 100,000 years. That's not sort of the approach that I myself feel about this. We are an organism that lives on this planet, and all organisms that live on this planet use energy, right? Whatever, it all comes from the sunlight at the base of it, right? Energy comes through the system, comes through to us. We have food or input in some form or another. All of the organisms on the planet do this. So we're, as each human being lives its life, it is sort of a pattern for energy to flow in and flow out and flow in and flow out. At the end of my life, my physical leftover things become part of the resources for the next group to come in. But because of what we're doing, we use far more energy than is necessary for our actual survival, for producing food and stuff, because of this thing we've built called civilization. So that's changed the pattern of the way this energy flows around the surface of the planet. And it's not a question of saving the world. The world doesn't care how these energies flow and go, and whether it's an ice age or whether it's a tropical age. The world, the physical ball of rock, doesn't care at all. We care. When we talk about saving the world, what we mean is maintaining the environment in the pattern that means our current civilization will be able to continue. When we say saving the world, that's sort of what we mean, shorthand. The world itself could care less. The planet itself is immoral, and there's no good or evil. It's just a ball of rock that has energy patterns flowing around. So it doesn't become a question of saving the planet. It becomes a question of making sure we use our resources in a way that doesn't screw up what we want to do in the future. It's the kind of don't poop in your own nest thing, as we all, as any given species gets more aware of its environment, it starts to do things like that. Animals don't screw up the environment in an immediate way that will stop them from making a living. You don't poop in your own nest. And clearly, as a civilization, we have been heavily now pooping in our own nest for quite a long time. We didn't notice it because it was just, we didn't take account of those things. And now it's become really, really clear to us that we have been following policies that don't work in the long term. And it's now caught up to us. So, absolutely, all of us collectively and individually have to do what we can now to stop pooping, in a way that's screwing things up. And when I say pooping, I mean, dumping CO2 into the air and everything else that we're doing now. It's a question of the maturity of the species. Either we will develop a level of maturity to be able to do this, or we won't, in which case we will disappear. We as a species will disappear. Something else will come along, the world will roll on, irrelevant to this stuff. And whether we are able to grasp this and make a change and become a more mature species, it's an open question. I'm an optimist, so I'd like to think we can do this. And the young lady I mentioned a few minutes ago, she's a very important part of this, obviously. We've clearly had these mental mindset, speaking as a civilization as a whole, we'll think, oh yeah, I know about that, but we'll get to that later, we'll deal with that later. And later is here, and now we've got to reorganize things. It's too bad, it's a bit frustrating for me to have this whole argument expressed in terms of saving the planet, because absolutely the planet could care less. Couldn't care less. I guess, as I said a minute ago, the problem for me on this whole thing is that because inside my own mind I'm thinking, hey, I'm a good guy here, I'm not a bad guy here, because my products are sort of environmentally nice and stuff like that. Because I have this view in my own mind that I'm sort of shrugging off, hey, this isn't my problem. Global warming, all that stuff, hey, it's not my problem. Climate change, not my problem, because I'm a good guy here. that set is in there. So it means that I'm not, I'm not being an activist on this. I'm not really thinking I got to get going and do something, because I've sort of already got the mindset that, hey, not my problem, guys. I'm doing the right thing. And this is not a good thing to do, obviously, clearly. Doesn't matter who's the good guys and who's the bad guys. We're all in this together. So that can't be helped. We're getting closer, can we? I'm not sure. Oops. My dashboard here is flashing warning lights at me. It is flashing warning lights. We are dropping frames. My pocket Wi-Fi is struggling. We'll hang on as long as we can here, but just so you're aware, there are router problems here at this end. Our main router is shut down this morning, has shut itself down this morning. We're struggling with the small Wi-Fi, and it's possible that this may not sustain itself here. So, why is there a cat face here? Why is there a cat face? Because that's the design. This is the print we are making. I'm not sure if I have an image of the original here. No, I don't. I'm sorry, but if you want to know what's going on with the specific print, let me just type it in here, somewhere around here. Let's, for those who don't know, I think that's the update page for the we have a set of prints in production. It's going to take a year, more than a year, to get busy. We have a set of prints in production, 8 views of cats, Neko Hakkei. If you go to the update page, you will see some images of the one we are carving here. And the designer, Randall Hall from North Carolina, maybe South Carolina, I'm sorry, I don't remember, has parodied an old Hiroshige print. It was a landscape print of mountains and a river, the Kiso Mountains in old Japan. And Randall has parodied it by taking a couple of cats, front and back, and putting them into the mountains. Fabulous idea, fabulous design. Anyway, more information. I think if I didn't bore them, more information on that page. Hello. Oh, Soko, it's that time. I'm just mumbling along, chatting along. I think I started some fights here. I'm not quite sure. I'm okay. I think it's all right. But a topic came up that is one of those hot topics, and I think they're just discussing in quotes some aspects of this. I don't know. I think it's okay. Did you read the mail on the train?
No, I did not.
One question. They've shipping print number 1 for this year.
Yes.
Like, what are we doing about the packaging? Like the yellow folders that it goes inside?
That was a discussion with you, so they haven't actually sent any. I needed to check with you about it.
I literally last night woke up in the middle of the night saying, "Oh my God, have they sent them as Japan Journey number 13?"
No. So they're waiting for the
PDF
solution. Yep. And so I'm gonna.
I woke up literally in the middle of the night thinking about this.
Sorry.
It's not your fault. I'm the guy that runs the place here. I should have thought about that, but I was like, "Oh my God!"
No, they're holding on to it. I looked around the computers yesterday. We were all running around. I'm gonna find it today.
Yeah, okay.
No, so we're gonna do it.
What they have is they have software that we wrote, but they can use the same software, but it reads from text files inside.
Right, and I didn't know where that file was to fix it. So.
Sorry, guys. I had to mention this before we forget it. This is a real hot item for me to carry here today.
Number 1 on my list is all today. So. I'm glad
it must have been ticking in the back, This is so cool, the way this works.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Oh, look at conversation. No idea.
Good morning, everyone.
Over to you, Cameron. Take it away. Also, we are on the pocket Wi-Fi.
Okay.
Because it's down again. It went down again last night, and I kicked it, I shook it, I replugged it, I restarted it. I cannot get it to work, except it works fine for YouTube and Skype.
But not Twitch.
But not for anything else.
That's so weird.
So I don't know if it's a DNS problem. But I don't know how it works. Anyway, it's done. So none of your bookkeeping stuff ran automatically during the night.
Good morning. I'm going to leave the discussion alone.
Yeah, I think so. I didn't want to exaggerate. Simply, it's a hot topic. So a hot topic. So is that our flag falling out?
No, our flag looks okay. Echo Trip says, "I received my New Year's lantern print in the mail. It's fantastic. Thank you, everybody." So,
okay, it's a very simple one. Just a small gesture from us to the friends and stuff. We're still in no way finished sending them all out. We have hundreds more to send.
Yep.
Hundreds more. New knife camera. We changed the knives. I finally
new knife, not just blade. Okay.
Blade.
What?
It became just too short. I had trouble yesterday. We did the last print party yesterday. Really nice family. The little girl.
Okay.
So the little girl comes and sits here, and we show her daddy's watching. And I couldn't carve it because fine. It was so short, it just flipped back. It wouldn't stay in the handle. And she looks, and I fix it with a bit of tape, and he's looking at me, and I'm like the world class carver. Tape on.
Who did you say you were?
So this morning, finally, I broke down, put a new one in.
Got it. Someone said, "Oh, that looks nice. Is it a dog facing back opposite the cat?" No, I think it's just two cats here.
Two cats. No dogs here. I think I can't see where we are.
Yeah.
The first cat is clearly a cat sleeping here, right? And the river below it. And when we move across, the other mountain is facing the other way. And of course, there's our cat facing into the distance. I linked to the updates page, but I didn't put a link in to the original Hiroshige design.
Okay.
If somebody wants to try that, if they Google Hiroshige Kiso Mountains, Kiso, Kiso, you'll find the original triptych that this is based on.
Yeah. Is there a show and tell today, they're asking?
I don't have any specific new thing that came in. Is there anything within reach that we could show? I don't think so, Cameron. I didn't prepare anything. I was just kind of work. And that's the old, that's we've seen that. I really don't, I'm sorry. And rather than just frantically try and stumble and fail, I think there isn't a show and tell today.
Yep. So, just carving. On the carving stream, I guess.
Yeah.
It's a good thing to do.
I have a bunch of questions related to the inventory thing we did yesterday.
Okay.
Oh, really well. I went through the database, the results of all the beat.
Oh, great.
And it looks good. It came through cleanly, smoothly. We have now a very good record of the stuff that's in this building, the first and second floors. We have to get upstairs and do the third floor.
Great.
And then the next question, of course, is how to value it. And that's going to be a question of talking to the accountant, the tax people.
Yeah.
Also, did I mention a letter came from PayPal about the new setup?
Oh, okay.
We made a couple of, not errors, but there are a couple of things
I need to do again?
Yeah, we'll do that.
Okay.
I'm not quite sure how to do those. So maybe if all your Amazon's kind of...
You can help tackle that. Okay. So I want to see the new paper on the New Year print. What are we talking about?
The New Year's print all went with Salaki-san's paper.
Ah, yes, okay. Which we haven't used for too much
We haven't used
yet.
for anything else. It's not ready for anything else. So it was fine for that New Year print, which was a casual, small thing.
Yeah.
If you look at the paper, it's very thin. And if you got your New Year print, if you hold up the light, you'll see there's just not enough body in the pigment impressions. Paper is not just thin. I mean, we have thin Hosho paper as well, but it just doesn't have enough strength in the fiber mat. And I don't really know why. But,
Interesting.
so we don't think that paper is ready for prime time for the multicolored, multi-layered work that we've been doing recently.
For like with this year's subscription series, which is lots of layers on top of each other.
Also, I don't think we mentioned that that's actually on hold now, sold out. Did we talk about that?
I don't know if we've mentioned it, but
I
don't think it was sold out Monday the last time we chatted, and now it is. So
sold out, I know, temporarily. Orders are maxed out what we can currently handle. The blocks will come out at a future point for more printing.
Yeah.
But at the moment, we can't take any more orders for this year's subscription. So.
Got quite a few people already on the waiting list.
Jed again, Jed's cut me last night.
Oh, really?
How many? Well, Jed, I don't know yet, actually, but relax, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I can understand his, not impatience, I can understand his interest. That's his
Enthusiasm,
income.
yeah.
No, it's his income, of course. You know.
Yeah. And it's going to be a good month, I think. Or a good year, I mean. The New Year's card. It looks nice enough, but feels a bit thin, but I can't beat the price, so happy with it. The Katana Ninja 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's a while back during a stream, you gave some tips related to carving ukiyo-e hair. I sadly missed the actual tips, but I was wondering if you would think of doing some YouTube videos related to carving.
Okay, there are that information on the secret method of carving ukiyo-e hair and whatever. It is all over the place now on our website. Just off the top of my head, on our YouTube channel, there is a stream from about 2 years ago, which was Twitch highlights. It was when we started we were going to do that every month, a Twitch highlight stream, just live out on the web.
Yeah.
But there is, if you go to our YouTube channel, look up the Twitch highlight stream that's there. It's from September last year, I think, or September 2018, I think.
Yeah. Wow.
And that's one of the, about 5, 10, 15 minutes of that stream is Dave talking about and explaining ukiyo-e hair carving.
Yeah.
And then where else did I do it? I don't know, in the old encyclopedia of woodblock printmaking that I tried to produce on my original website back in the late 1990s, there are 3 or 4 pages which have photo essays on the traditional methods of carving hair. So we do have the information out there. Although it's not well organized, I'm sorry.
but it exists. And what is it? The Samus Infestation Ukiyo-e Heroes video, that also shows some hair carving, doesn't
Yes,
it?
it's not the classical ukiyo-e carving,
Okay.
which is got the tapered tips and all the hair and stuff like that. It's just some fine carving, some fine line carving. So yeah, it's interesting to look at.
But a different thing, a different technique. Okay. Have we started sending out Priest on the Snowy Path? We received them here, and you've counted them.
They're in packing.
Okay,
they're in Ome. They're being packed.
Right,
the website should be open for orders.
Yep. So they'll be sent out soon.
Whatever. It's
once they finish packing them up.
It's just a question of the final packing stage. That's all. Although I haven't said that. Did you do the story of the Suritaro version of the story?
Yes. Yep. I got that.
Okay, so.
Do you use the whole arm when carving, or just a specific set of muscles in your forearm, or just your hands, just your fingers? They're asking about that. You don't move very much at all.
My shoulders are locked. My elbows are locked. My palm is placed firmly on the wood. There's no movement of my hand on the wood at all. There's
until you move to a new area.
Movement of my hands across this at all. My right hand is set on the block. My left, where is it? What's it called? This part of your hand here? That's kaboom, down the block, and they now don't move. Now it's my fingers pulling towards me, and here we go. And that's it. This is short strokes for this kind of carving we're doing today. There's no freehand about this at all. Lift it up there, Kim. Yeah. We're lifting off there with different motions, but it's when you're pulling towards like this, it's very much based on.
When the blade is in the wood,
my hands are
stable.
On the wood, stable. I'm holding with the right hand, pushing against it. We talked about this before. I'm pulling 10, pushing 9, something like that. I'm making up those numbers, but whatever. Yeah. So there's no freedom of the knife to go bam, bam. It doesn't do that at all. These tools are different. Yes.
Oh, sorry.
I'm still rooted on the wood. My fingers are absolutely rooted on it. Sorry.
Fly Fish for One said there's a tendency with several artists there in the US to use very thin paper. It's almost as if it's the in thing to print on the thinnest possible paper. We haven't seen that here, at least. But we don't have too much exposure.
Woodblock people making woodblock pens? I don't know.
Yeah.
At the moment, as far as I can see, people over there, meaning people without access to a good wide selection of Japanese papers, are struggling. They're using whatever they can get, whatever they can find, whatever works.
Yeah.
But even here in Japan, if you go back, the ukiyo-e stuff, or the, let's say, the shin-hanga stuff, the 20th century, the hasui and whatever, needed a really thick, luscious paper because of all the multiple color layers. But ukiyo-e in the older days sometimes was made on quite a thin paper. Then it was on not so many colors at all. You didn't need it. And for them it was time is money and whatever else. So that the thickness of your paper and the kind of paper and the quality of paper is very much a reflection of the kind of impressions you need to make on paper.
Yeah, they said yes, it is woodblock printers in the US. Interesting. Using very, very thin paper.
Well, the famous example here, going back to when I was a kid, Munakata Shiko, the famous creative artist, Sosaku Hanbaka here, nothing to do with ukiyo-e. He used extremely thin paper, put it on the block, printed, and then exhibited the prints backside out.
Huh.
So that was his thing. That was his deal.
His stick.
So when you look at his prints, you're seeing the backside of the paper.
Interesting. Fernan Wood. It only took one day to do inventory? Well, we had 5 people running around in one small building.
So. That was the shop area. We now have the 3rd floor workshop, and then Cameron and I
and then another building.
A 4-story building. So no, we're not done in one short day.
But progress was made.
We killed most of the for sale typing. And actually, Cameron, what I didn't tell you about this, the legal inventory we need, like the stuff for sale, from Yokohanga, not Doihanga, not Wade. We just did everything.
Okay.
So we can do a Tano Oroshi together with Wade-san. We now have a list of everything from Wade-san. That's
wonderful.
So we didn't need that for the legal inventory.
But
when we were here,
while you're counting and barcoding, why not? Okay.
So also, I know now how many wine numbers are in here.
Excellent.
Reflecting my upcoming income over the next few months. So we just did the whole thing.
Wonderful.
I didn't tell them that maybe we don't need to do this. I just said, here's what we need to do.
Yeah.
And
Well,
they did it.
it's still neat.
And Rachel, her ultimatum has been to get this prints out of the freezer today and bring them to me.
Okay. Glad to hear it.
It wasn't a pleasant conversation.
Oh, yeah.
Just,
Oh, no.
she's going a bit off the board with this. So I be careful. And Susan's it too. And we have a real lot of questions about this. So be careful.
Yeah.
As in, like, she could quit and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Huh. Fly fish for fun. The one who's been asking about thin paper, saying, in fact, when I asked the U.S. supplier for a specific thick origami paper, I was asked, "Are you sure you want that paper for woodblock printmaking?" Interesting. Oh. But yeah, different people use different stuff. And speaking of which, we have an email from KP or Karen Pittman. We know, everyone knows we have her prints here.
Yeah,
have you seen it? She was asking about different types of papers to use. So. I'm not quite qualified to answer it, but if she's here today, she can listen to your answer now.
Yeah, the thing is, no, Karen was asking me, I think, it wasn't a question of what's good for her. She knew what she had access to.
Right.
What she was worried about was that Dave wasn't going to accept it in the shop.
Yeah.
And I can't give a specific, absolute, definite answer on this. What I would like to avoid is people using, people are going to have prints in our guest corner in the shop like Karen. Yeah. I really want to avoid having too much pulp. If it's a 70% pulp paper, that print is going to go brown, 20, 30, 40 years down the line. And I would really like to avoid having beautiful handmade woodblock prints sponsored by Neko Hakkei that are not going to last all that long. But I cannot demand anything out the other paper's not available. And the Yoshida prints, a ton of the Yoshida prints we've got here are printed in what's called hankusa, which is 30 to 40% pulp or so, case by case. Yeah. So they're there in the shop, and that's what they've been doing for decades. This is not my choice, not my control, nothing to do with me. So Karen was worried because some of the paper she wanted to make her prints on, all she could get was stuff that had 20% or 30% pulp. Is David going to be okay? Is David going to get upset? I never want to have this cross my threshold. No, whatever. Just in general, wherever possible. If you're listening, Karen, whatever, try and avoid too much pulp in the paper. Yeah. I'm aware that there is going to be sometimes pulp in the paper that you guys are using. Yeah. I can't demand that. Otherwise, they're going to say, okay, sell me some that you want on paper, which I can't do. So. Yeah. Well, Matsumura's catalog is clearly and openly honest about this. He gives a specific percentage of all the papers, what's pulp and what isn't, and what's Mitsumata and what's Kozo. He oversees catalogs, so Hiromi paper or wherever these people are getting paper from. I don't know if they are as knowledgeable or as open about it as he is. Yeah. But I'm not a monster here. I understand what's going on. And just in general, wherever possible, try and use paper. But if you could possibly get it, is completely, pulp free. Yeah. But that's not the world we live in. So.
Yeah. Looks like she is not in today. Fernand Wood says, I've never seen pulp percentages in my paper descriptions when ordering. So.
Well, if you look at Matsumura's, I don't know about the online catalog, but Matsumura's paper catalog,
does
every single one. He's got a chart of, the thicknesses, the pulp content, whether the sizing is by hand or machine or whatever.
Interesting.
And the English catalog, there's one right there. If you can you grab the red catalog? They're down the bottom of the left there. No, I think you have to go to the wire, to the far end of the...
Got it.
Oh, watch the camera. Pull over the camera.
It's far left.
Yeah, there should be a stack of them still there.
Right? Oh, yeah. What did they got?
We counted them yesterday, or they asked me, do we need to count these Matsumura catalogs? And I said, you don't need to count them because it's not sales stuff. So I know they're there somewhere.
They are here. Paper.
All right,
I think I found it. Let's step over this.
The paper, roughly, it's broken into two rough groups here. He's got the handmade washi group in his catalog, and on the next page he's got machine-made washi, of course, the larger machines that are doing the same kind of concept. And he's got everything. He's got this for just what remember. thickness 18. He's got a code number for thickness. There's an 18, but he's got a code somewhere.
A legend somewhere.
Yeah. But here it's mulberry. And in fact, he's even categorized the mulberry, whether it's Japanese natural mulberry or imported from Thailand or Taiwan.
Oh.
So in this case, this random one is 70% mulberry, 30% pulp. And in fact, here we are, 30%. Here's 100% mulberry, this one, and this is imported mulberry. This will be from perhaps Thailand. And there are people who say, oh no, I've got to have Japanese, whatever. I myself probably would not be able to tell the difference. Yeah. And then over on the machine-made things, I think he's done the same thing. Here, this one is 100% pulp. It's proofing paper. It's not for art purposes. There's another one, Kikai. Kikai means machine. Kikai Torinoko. It's listed as 100% pulp. So this is not the kind of paper I would like Karen to be using if she asked me, what would you like in your shop? You know? Yeah. Here's another one. This is totally different. Look at this. Pulp 55, mulberry 30, Manila hemp 15.
Interesting.
So, here's another one. I have no idea what this is. This is way out of my pay grade. Look at this. Pulp, no numbers here. Pulp, mulberry.
And vinylon? Vinyl? It's vinyl and nylon in one thing?
No idea. I have no idea what this means. I mean, just so you know, we are not using this paper here in Mokongan. I'm just reading from the catalog here, you know.
Interesting.
Here's another one. Pulp 40, mulberry 20, hemp and others 40%.
Huh.
So yeah, I mean, the machine-made side of this catalog here would not really be the way to go for prints that we want to have in our shop. But among the handmade papers, if Karen wants to use up to 30%, we're fine with that. That's going to be no problem. As I said, the Yoshida family is using that kind of stuff. It's called here in Japanese hankusa, half grass.
Yeah. Huh.
Grass meaning the pulp and han meaning half.
Yeah.
And 70-30 would be typical of that.
Yeah. Flyfish for one says I use shiramine, and it's in there somewhere. Whatever.
I think I saw that shit.
Yeah. Interesting.
But again, too, remember, these are generic words. I know hosho is a type. Iwana-san makes hosho. Yamaguchi makes hosho. Somebody else makes hosho.
Yeah.
So just saying I use shiramine, whatever, it may or may not be the one that we are looking at here in this catalog. I don't know. Oh. These are generic titles. These are not
Shiramine was the 15% hemp, 30% mulberry, 55.
Okay, but remember, these are not trademarks.
Yeah.
These are just generic names for paper. So
yeah.
The one he's got may or may not be that one. I don't.
Critical. First time catching a stream in a while. Also, I got my confirmation for this year's subscription series the other day, so good times for me.
Oh, you slipped in among the 200. Yeah.
Yep. Ogon is in. Oh gosh, oh no. Oh god. Hello, hello. Welcome.
Strange light reflections coming in.
Yeah. It's not because this is moving. Update on Gampi, Cameron-san?
Sorry, guys. It's there. It's in a big roll under my desk. Yep. We're just teasing these people so horribly, you know. I'm sorry. We're not trying to tease anybody. No, it's not that. It's
you can test run one of these, though, for shipping.
Oh, I did. But that's right. You said you ordered a bunch.
Yeah. Or I was going to, and then we... what happened? Something happened, so we put it on hold because I think the minimum order was like 100 or 120.
Yeah, it needs one of us to go to Shimojima in Sakusabashi, look through the selection of mailing tubes.
Yeah.
Sorry, people, just whatever. We are struggling to keep up. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I think Amazon has them in smaller quantities. They're not as inexpensive as getting them manufactured right for us, but I think we could do that just to see how they fit and get it going.
But also, I know we still have to talk to those guys about the next order or something, what's happening. You know, are we finished with them? We have to just look at the papers and decide what to do and get another order.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That reminds me too, a little bit of a heads up. This is now mid-January.
Yes.
There's going to be a time a month from now, as there was last year in mid-February, when this stream is going to be on pause. Dave has booked a flight to go over to spend time with his family in Vancouver in February. So I'll be gone from here from like 10 or 11 days.
Yeah.
I don't at the moment remember on the top of my head what days of the week I leave and come back, but just to give you a heads up, there will be a 10-day period or whatever when there are no streams. Unless Cameron wants to do it by himself or cats or something, whatever. But there will be the annual days meeting up with his grandchildren and whatever, mother and daughters and grandchildren. That's going to be happening in mid-February. I'll be out of here. Super-san, she's looking for blocks.
Good morning, gozaimasu.
すいません。
タコの裏じゃないよ。
あれ？あ、こっち？
タコの裏？
うん。タコの裏の板探しに来た。
そっか。
上にあったはずなんだけどね。
I don't know. Was it counted yesterday?
It wasn't down here. 1階にもない、2階にもない。
にもない？あれ？
すぐさん持ってるでしょ。でも
そう
試しやった
上に届い
試しやっ
まだやってない。
おめ？
おめ？
嘘？
嘘。
嘘
実はもう何ヶ月前から決まったでしょ。
あれだってさ、
試し始まったんでしょ。
でも試しはまだやってないの。試しを昨日試しと本番の紙示してテストの紙と
はい。
示して。
すぐさん、I don't know。本当に I don't know。1階にもない、2階にもない。昨日タナロシの話。タナロシの人があったんですから。
あれは来たよね。なんだっけ。あれれれれ。
十条釣りみたいな。
そうあれだけは来たよね。
いたと一緒でしょ。
一緒に来たよね。
もちろん。千春さんがまだ預かってる。I don't know. I don't know.
Oh. インターネットにつながらない。
あ、じゃあ you need the pocket.
That's okay.
あ、そっか。
Uh,
あれ
Just gonna check the
あ、
manager.
これ、あれ、石川さんと
そうです
れいちゃんです。じゃあ上持ってきた
はい
行きましょうか。これ新しいのあるよね。
そう。これは全工事の板ですね。絶対ここにないよ。多いパックでしょ。で、10枚ぐらい。I think it was in a double box. 2 stacks, 5枚。
段ボールで来たような気。
But there was a list right here. Yeah. That's what Evelyn counted yesterday, but then put into the database. That was Ukiyo-e Heroes, Minajima, Ukiyo-e Heroes. We got block set. Oh, no connection. It's not here. I know it's not here.
ないよね。
参加のレイちゃんの
下のね、あそこも探して、あと2階もちょっと探してみたんだけど。
Well, it's two phone calls. Ome and Chiharu-san.
Yeah.
いや、じゃあもう一回ちょっと見てしてみます。
The mini drama playing out here, she's about to start work upstairs on a new print and she can't find the blocks. And it's certainly within the realm of possibility that I got the paper ready for her. I got the print sample ready for her. We talked about it. We even looked at the different colors, what's going to be going on. But it's among the realm of possibility that the blocks are not in the building. At the moment, the blocks could still be in Ome, or they could still be in Chiharu-san's workshop up in Nagano. She did
The last printer,
patches.
yeah. Oh no.
If that's the case, then we have to figure this out and get it going, and she has to find something else to do today. That might be cool, because my job this morning up there is sizing.
Ah.
I'm going to finish this stream, and I am going to abandon the shop to the girls. It's Shiba-san and Teiko-san.
Oh, nice.
I'm going to go do sizing, and if Suga-san has nothing to do,
She can help size.
welcome to sizing.
Yay.
She's going to say, no, anything but that, no. And I'm going to say, there's nothing else to do. You're about to become a sizing craftsman.
Yay. So excited. Just get some new blocks laser made in a jiffy. Not gonna work. But,
We need some emojis here.
Yeah. Eye rolling.
Pile of poop.
Yeah.
Whatever it's called.
Yeah. Any public appearances planned in BC?
No.
So.
A few years ago, they did work out that way. I went over there. I was asked by the consulate, Japanese consulate, to do stuff over there.
Oh, wow.
I did some demos, but no, this year. No. This is simply hanging out with my
Family
mom,
trip.
hanging out with my mom and my son-in-law and my daughters and a little grandchild in college. She's actually recognizing me on Skype. This is the classic Skype case. Granddad calls the grandchild. And, hi, Daddy.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's actually happening.
Yay! Maybe Suga-san can run the stream when you're gone. So, have you ever tried pre-sized paper, Dave?
Well, in our normal work, no, we don't use that. We size our own paper. The sizing is a totally different job and function from the manufacturing.
Right.
The manufacturer can't size it because different jobs require different types of sizing.
Yeah.
Theoretically, every different print job we do here in the building would need its own slightly different version of the recipe.
Yeah.
We don't tweak it that delicately, but we do. We change it as the season goes. We change it depending on the job that's being done.
On a specific paper too. Like if you were using Sawaki-san's paper, you size it.
So there's no generic thing that comes with it.
But in your earlier days carving, wasn't that mostly pre-sized?
When I was back in Canada fooling around, I just grabbed whatever I could find from Aiko's art supplies in Chicago or whatever.
Yeah.
Once I came here to Japan, I was ordering paper at first from Yamaguchi-san. And I don't remember the conversation, but it must have gone something like this. He said, "Okay, good. You want this sized?" I said,
What's
"Yeah,
that?
what's that?" or whatever at some point. So the paper maker, Yamaguchi-san, instead of mailing it to me, he mailed it on my behalf to a sizing craftsman, who then phoned me and said, "What do you want?" And I just basically said, "Your average, everyday, or garden variety of, typical sizing." And that's what he did for me. As the years went by, I began to be a bit more aware of what was happening and what needs I would be. So when the sizing craftsman phoned me, I would have a bit better idea.
You had an answer for him.
Yes, okay, we're coming up to winter, so I'd like it heavier on the back, or, whatever stuff like this, So years went by, and that craftsman's level of ability to do a good job decayed bit by bit by bit. And at some point, and it would have been, is it 6 or 7 years ago? It would have been about the time Ukiyo-e Heroes started, I guess. Although no connection with Ukiyo-e Heroes. The paper coming to me from the sizing craftsman had so many problems. I just finally realized, look, my God, even this is going to be out of control. So I've got to get started doing this by myself. It's going to be terrible doing it by myself, but it can't be any worse than this fucking crap he's sending me now. And that was the exact decision. That's when I started doing it myself, and this was whatever it was, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago.
And you've been experimenting ever since.
Since that time, we were doing a pretty good job on it. Now the printers upstairs, we had some problems 2 years ago when the paper itself was being made with different materials, the hibiscus root instead of toloroi.
Yeah.
And I and everybody in the country struggled with it. But now things have stabled out, and our printers upstairs are very, very happy with the paper that's coming through to them. But advice for somebody overseas who has no control over any of these things, I can't help you. Get to the Matsumura-san catalog or the Hume paper or whatever, and put your money down and swallow hard. And it's not a good situation.
Would like Matsumura.
He's trying hard.
Yeah.
The problem is his suppliers are completely inconsistent.
Yeah.
He'll order 500 sheets. It'll be cool. Put it in the catalog. He'll talk about it. But the next 500 sheets will be night and day different. And he has no way to control them.
Yeah.
And we solve it by buying our paper from the top gun in the country and paying very heavily for it and ordering consistently. And they know who we are. They make it to our specs. They deliver as consistently as possible. It's not just a generic order for a batch of paper. This is custom ordered from the top supplier in the country. But as a result of that, this is expensive stuff. It's really expensive. With our last box, we have one small package of paper, and it's over $6,000. And we paid for that last batch of paper, 500 sheets
Yep.
of not so large paper, and it was $6,000. We just paid. Hi, next. So people are a bit bitter about the fact that Dave and his crew has all this wonderful paper, and they don't. This isn't happening by accident. We put the money on the table, and we consistently, year after year, month after month. How many times a year? That's $6,000 just a single order. Yeah. We're doing that 4 or 5 times a year to show. So the Takenaka is much more than that. It's much, much more than that. So that's how we get around the problem.
You need to train a sizing contractor like you've trained and used printing contractors.
Well, a sizing craftsman, yes. I mean, if things go according to plan and our plan for world domination, starts to really happen, and the world of woodblock printmaking grows bit by bit by bit, at some point, some young guy's going to say, I can step in there because that's a job opportunity, and he will. Hopefully, somebody will do this and become the next generation of sizing craftsmen. It's not possible at the moment because there's not enough market out there for it. But if this does come back together, a few more people start making good paper, then there will be the job requirement for a sizing craftsman who could hang up his shingle and go for it.
Yeah.
Back in, if we go back 100 years ago, the Western guys who were trying to do this, the Walter Phillips, Fletcher, C.B., those guys, they were all sizing their own paper because they only had access to raw, unsized Japanese paper, and they all sized it themselves. They did a bunch of good instant prints. They passed around their recipes and formulas, all of which is documented.
Yeah.
It's doable. That material was a huge help to me when I first started my own sizing, because the craftsman here wouldn't help me at all, of course, because I was abandoning him.
Yeah.
And I read all the books, the Fletcher, Phillips, they've got all their formulas in there. It's on our website, it's not hidden. I looked at their formulas, took some averages, tried this, tried that, and started from there. And Nikawa glue is readily available everywhere.
Yeah.
So this, where's the block? So I'm like,
I don't know. Tom1060 asks, can sizing be done without alum? Did I say that right?
I don't know. I have taken these formulas at pretty much face value. The basic formula for the sizing means it's a combination of glue and alum. And the classical answer for why we use those two things is the glue provides the physical strength, allowing the paper to hold together under the physical process of the printmaking. And the alum, so they say, is used to stop pigment from spreading sideways in the paper. What's the English expression? Nijimi, I don't know. Smearing or spreading sideways.
Or spread, yeah.
I don't know.
Pool.
I don't know. So that's the classical answer for these two things. But have I done the A/B testing, taken a batch of size without alum and said, Dave, let's try this and see what happens? I've never done that.
When we just talked about how much it costs to do a paper, you don't want to
throw. It's not just that. It's that we're building the bridge as the cars are going over it. We can't, change something dramatically because
we're using that paper. We want to make sure it's usable.
But there's a huge amount of research that could be done on this. All kinds of testing could be done. Maybe there's a much better formulation that could be used than we are using, but we don't know about it because we're just too terrified to make changes in what we're doing.
Yeah. Vivid KP just jumped in. She said, I'm late and on the phone, but sounds like I need to watch the stream from the beginning.
Yeah, we were talking about
jump
you.
back.
Yes.
Kind of answered your email. Or no, we did answer. Someone earlier asked, what was it? What's the most intricate, or I don't know, I can't find the word to use, but the wildest line work you've seen in a woodblock print, or the most difficult that you've seen or done? It wasn't clear, or I don't. Oh, ambitious print you've ever seen as far as line work. So you said seen rather than down
I
yourself.
can't give any specific example. Back in the Meiji era, there was some stunning stuff. You know, you're talking about delicate carving. I mean,
I think so, yeah.
And it was daily routines for those guys. You know, carving delicate hairlines.
Mm-hmm.
I've imitated a couple of those. I made a reproduction of a tomorrow print with stunningly delicate hair, and I did that couchier. But there's no specific, oh my God, here is the example that will kill everything else. It was just routine for those guys.
Yeah.
Having said that, there is one example to bring up, which has nothing to do with the Japanese carving tradition.
Yeah.
And that's the Claude Melin famous print. I forget what it's called. I've linked to it a million times before. You go back to the 1600s. It's 1624, give or take a few decades. A French engraver, Claude Melin, and maybe this is engraving or it could be woodcutting, I don't remember. He made a portrait of Christ, and it's made from online. And he sketched it onto his woodblock or whatever he had to start.
Yeah.
Took an engraver, started it in the nose, and started making a spiral.
Worked around.
And he made the spiral thicker and thinner and thicker and thinner and thicker and thinner. And when you see the finished print, and it's one single line.
That is wild.
I forget the name of it. If somebody says it, I will recognize it instantly. If you Google Claude, Claude, Melin, Mellan, spiral. Google those three words. And there are some stunningly high-resolution images of this print out there in Wikipedia and places.
Yeah.
Claude Melin spiral. And this is before the Japanese had even invented ukiyo-e. Ukiyo-e started in the late 1600s going into 17. This is before Edo started. This is 1624 or something, or 1673. I don't know. It's 1600 something.
Old.
And it's the single most astonishing carving wood print creation that I've ever seen in my life. I tried to imitate it in my own art series. Remember, I did the one about Kurudori, the kabuki face mask.
Oh,
I did the same thing. I imitated what Claude did. I started on the nose, went round and round and round and round and round. I did it in a very simple way. If you've never seen this before, look it up. It is stunning, stunning, stunning.
Someone gave us a link.
Yeah, there's things. It's out there all over the place. I know.
Is it this? They say the Sudarium of Saint Veronica.
Yes. That doesn't sound familiar. Saint Veronica, no, I know. It's a portrait of Christ with the thorns on his head. What's that called in the Christian mythology? I know. The picture with the thorns.
Crown of Thorns. What's the right term?
I don't remember. I'm sorry.
Anyway, the Passion. This looks like it.
Yeah, that's it. Find a high res, zoom in. That is a single freaking line.
That is nuts.
And it's nuts. On the lettering at the bottom, the dates, everything, that's all done with the same line. It spirals out and out and out and out. Every blob of ink on that paper is printed from that same line. 16 what?
49.
Yeah, okay, I was close.
Yep.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Like this guy had no Photoshop or anything. Maybe he roughly drew it in pencil first on the plate or the block, whatever it was.
Just the gene.
And then went for it.
Wow. That is incredible.
And you got to get a close up because there's like 10 big gigabyte.
Yep, there it
on
is.
And you can just zoom in and zoom in and zoom in. Look at this.
Oh my.
Look at that. And the thing is, it's not like a spiral, mathematic spiral. So the spiral gets thinner and thicker and thinner and thicker.
Yeah.
And the spiral wiggles and moves like, you see what I mean?
Yeah.
The spiral waves. And those two things together give the tone.
Yeah.
The areas of dense tone and light tone. The eyeballs, the nose. And go to the lettering at the bottom. Two fingers up. Keep going. Look at this.
That is.
Look at that. That's insane, to show it. And this is like 16. What? This is before Edo came into being.
Wow. That's amazing. Okay.
So, okay, there's what was the question? What's the best example of like carving whatever you've seen?
That's it.
I think that could go for it, And Dave was so blown away. He tried to imitate it. I tried to. I've got it here. It's right here. Not using the back side of it.
Good.
My arts.
Someone said, Cameron, can you share the link? Just click the one that Oh Gosh, Oh No shared earlier. It's perfect. It's great.
Here's my. I don't have the image. This is my wood block with the same thing. I started on the kabuki actor's nose, went round and round and round and round, and this is actually a kabuki actor's face. If you go to woodblock.com/arts,
Yeah.
you will see it in there.
Huh.
They've imitated. This is a one color print. I didn't put color blocks on it, just enough, just black and white. And it just took me 2 tries. I failed once, and I had to try it again.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I'm not too sad about failing.
No. That's wow.
Is that a show and tell then? We've done our show and tell.
We did a show and tell. Oh, and it's 9:32 actually, so I guess we're done. That was amazing.
Okay, good enough. Yeah, that was a good show and tell. Thank you, Cameron.
Yep. There's whoever brought
Take us
this
now.
up.
And
Kira, we've got
morning.
crew today.
All right, the whole gang's here. Good. Okay, Cameron, sign us off.
See you
What's
later.
today? Today's Thursday.
So see you again Saturday.
Saturday by myself.
Yep.
But again, the Wi-Fi, I have no idea what's happening, but this pocket guide did its job. It kept us through this today. So
Yeah, hope you don't have a tight data limit because we've just blown past it.
We did. And the first month we blew it out, so I went to the full, just
Unlimited, yeah.
Whatever.
Makes sense.
I just want the service.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
See you Saturday morning, guys. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.
See you later.